Hello and welcome to another video. Today with an update to my automated cold spark Bloodmage, which is actually a new build altogether. We are now focusing on not only just spark and infusions, but are running cast on crit Comet to absolutely obliterate every boss and enemy in the game alongside your FPS. With this, you are guaranteed to crash every few maps. We are a walking Armageddon to our GPU. This build has Wars infusion generation, but does much more DPS to bosses. We are absolutely slaughtering bosses now, with Comet dealing absurd amounts of DPS, while also looking absolutely incredible. The basic requirements for this build are much stricter, however, needing at least 37 Spirit, Mask of the Sanguimancer, the Ring of the Brotherhood, around 70% crit, and Atziri's Acuity gloves. But once you get all the pieces, may God have mercy on your enemies. It's time to blast. You can find a planner down below as well as an export of my character to POB. Also, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. But enough about that. First up, a quick look on my planner. The new planner looks like this. I have a little bit more explanation on what items to grab, as well as the spirit requirements are 37 spirit with a quality 20% on CoC. Down below here you can find the Armageddon Mage build, which also calls to all the basic requirements and shows the gear I am currently wearing. There's only a few upgrades I can make at this point, including a better wand, a slightly better amulet, and a slightly better focus. Here's a look at the tree. You can see I have weapon swap 1 point and 2. This is for a level 91 character. Here's a few points like crit damage here and crit chance here. You can grab all along the tree. If you're not at 100% crit chance, you can grab the crit chance nodes, but make sure to always grab the crit damage boost nodes first. We also include extra lightning damage so we can shock enemies, which makes us benefit from echoing thunder. And for the last levels, you can grab some nifty stuff like exposure effect, 5% additional lowering resistances on exposure. There is 10 exposure effect here. You can pick up skill speed right here. Those are more efficient than the nodes here with free and there is also a little bit of freeze build up here, so you can freeze bosses much faster. You also have magnitude of chills, which is also really nice. Now in game I can look at the gems. I have spell damage, cold damage, crit damage and maximum life on kill, which is required for this build to function. Another jewel here with cold damage, crit chance, crit damage and spell damage. You can get this one on a veil or desecrate. For the heart of the well, you are looking for extra lightning damage primarily, but it's extremely expensive currently. So if you look up for a well of the heart, search for one with lightning damage, you will see those go for quite a hefty sum with just this one singular mod. If you add additional crit chance and so on, you will get to very unpleasant amounts of money. The better way to implement this one is through lightning damage on your wand, plus 5 in the passive tree down below here. Gives you around 15%, which is enough to proc considerable amounts of shock damage on bosses. For example, with your comments, once they go flying, you are set to apply a shock on the boss. You don't necessarily need one on a wand, but extra lightning damage on your wand is something you want to get eventually to make this one also apply to just regular enemies. The basic idea for the build is to pop your sigil, pop exposure, pop your curse, and then just go blasting. You can cast 2 times. Then you are out of health and cannot do anything anymore. So you need a flask that has recovery applied instantly as well as increased charges, so you can recover your fuel for casting spells. Now, because we have a high amount of crit chance, that's why I am requiring you to have at least 70%. I have 85.65%. I would like to go above 90% for this one, is to regenerate your health based on the damage you deal. Because with the gloves of Acuity, bleach from critical hits is instant. The more critical hit chance we have, the better. So your health will constantly ping pong. That's why we need energy shield, because our health is actually not all that good defensively. It's more just for casting spells. Basically, it just goes up and down constantly. It looks funny, but it's actually really scary. Now, to fix this, we will have to upgrade our ropes as well as boots with additional energy shield. We also can get some additional health and energy shield on your amulet. And we are also using a very specific, which is convalescence, that allows us to recharge our energy shield once we go out of energy shield. But our best defense is just to freeze and chill enemies and kill them before they can get to us. Now, sometimes something really bad happens, which is just funny, but we cannot prevent this. If you run out of health flasks, and the boss damage is not enough, so you don't crit with your spark, for example, on enemies or on a boss, you won't regenerate enough health and you are basically out of casting fuel. So you have to die or get out of the arena somehow to regenerate or reset the fight. So it's very punishing if this happens. My Annoint in this build is Savored Blood to increase the life leech. We leech slower, however, since we leech instantly because we crit with Atziri's Acuity, it's just a net plus and then net positive. And you are going to just delete your health bar constantly because of meteors that are falling from the sky. This one is 440 mana times 2 because we have a Bloodmage. So that's 900 health every time this one procs. So it needs to crit to regenerate our health. So it will ping pong all the time. This is preventing us from going faster. So having additional life regeneration in this case is a much better deal than anything else. Mask of the Sanguimancer is our blood magic application. Without that, we need to travel quite a lot, and there is a lot better energy recovery nodes here as well as crit nodes here, and we get hefty frost, we get thin ice, we get juicy nodes like Echo Frost, Echo Flames and Echo Thunder. A lot of crit nodes here. The really good monk starting area. So there is quite a few points we want to put into this specific section of the tree. Same with the curse nodes here. And we cannot really travel to the left side, so this restricts us. Now, some of you also asked for me to show you my character screen. I am currently capped except for cold. Cold is a little bit off. I need to roll like 1 additional percentage on my boots. So my boots need an upgrade, or for example, my chest. Otherwise, I'm capped on my resistances, just barely, but I do. Now for the gems, Life Remnant with Harmonic Remnant and Remnant Potency. We have Galvanic Field, which is not used. Sigil of Power with Magnified Area, Prolonged Duration and Cooldown Recovery. Siphon Elements, Harmonic Remnants, Remnant Potency, and Cannibalism. Cannibalism is optional. You don't need this one. It requires 15 additional spirit, which I do get through the additional 11 spirit on my innate affix. It helps you out quite a bit with the additional health recovery during regular play. Then we have Spark with Ricochet, Projectile Acceleration, Prolonged Duration, Considered Casting, and Rising Tempest. For Rising Tempest, we need to constantly cast our Frost Bomb, which will also spawn cold infusions, which you can use for Spark to fly out like this. The second element is triggered through cast on critical with Flame Wall. Since our sparks pass through the Flame Wall, we will be able to generate fire infusions, which we pick up through Siphon Elements, which is used by Comet. So Spell Cascade is a damage boosting ability to Comet if it overlaps. So if there's 2 traitors like this one and the boss stands right in between and the hitbox of both of them hit him, this is a net positive of 40% additional damage. For Flame Wall, it casts like walls, like a cage around you. So your sparks pass through this and apply the buff to this through projectile damage, added fire damage, which is really great because this one can ignite. And as I already mentioned, Siphon Elements will use this one. We can also get Lightning Infusion on this one. So if we shock an enemy through extra lightning damage, which is applied after the conversion, we don't convert lightning damage to cold damage after the initial conversion, so extra is extra. We can generate lightning infusions and then use them through Flame Wall. Then we have considered casting because we are not affected by the cast speed, but the more damage is still applied. And we have boundless energy for increased energy. Now you will notice we don't have the refund option anymore. This is done through the passive tree now. We have energized 25% here, and we also have this one as a Desecrate on our amulet with 20% here. So it's 45%, which is basically the skill gem, and we take care of this one really, really efficiently, and we can then spam. On our elemental weakness, we have rapid casting, efficiency, and heightened curse. You will see this one goes out really fast and covers basically the whole screen. Then we have Convalesce and cooldown recovery with prolonged duration. Once our energy shield runs out, we won't be able to regenerate it as fast as we would like to. So this one starts our energy regeneration and prevents damage from removing the energy regeneration buff. So it's basically our layer defense cooldown. And then we have Frost Bomb with potent exposure, cooldown recovery, magnified area, and harmonic remnants. Now Frost Bomb costs around 780 mana, or in our case, health. As you can see here, we are not feeling too well after casting this one. You can use a lower level one if you don't want to expand as much health, but it doesn't really matter anyway. It's a lot of cold damage additionally, chills enemies really, really fast with 300% more damage, basically. And it leaves behind cold infusions. So once this one explodes, you will see there is a small cold infusion. And when we walk by it, it will basically sucked up to us and we can use it for our spark. So that's the basic idea of the build. 4 charms, stone, anti-freeze, and chaos resistance. Now for gearing tips. For your wand, you want to prioritize critical hit chance instead of crit damage. If you get 30 crit damage, that's equal to around 2 points on the passive tree. If you get 50% crit chance, which is equivalent in price, you get a boost to around 5 passive points, because most of the passive points at this point are 10%, not 15% like for crit damage. So it's really, really good to have crit chance on this one. Cast speed is also great. Level 2 spells to all spells is really important, because we are casting Comment, Flame Wall, we are casting Frost Bomb, we are casting our Curse, all of which is then scaled through this one. Costs a lot more health to use, but it's really worth it. It's a ton of damage. Same for the amulet. Level 2 spells. Crit damage is here better, because the crit roll here can only be around 30%, so crit damage is just better. You can also grab cast speed, and invocated spells have a chance to consume half as much damage or energy. And for the last mod, there is maximum energy or health. Both is good. Health is preferable. Spirit is also nice to have. You only need 37 for this one to function, but you need to have efficient inscriptions and 20% quality on a cast and crit to come by with just 37 spirit. Otherwise, you need more. 55 spirit is the minimum to also be able to equip your cannibalism, which is 2% additional maximum life on kill. For your mask, try to get one with as much crit chance as possible. This one cost me around 1x, but you can get a corrupted one with 45% crit chance for relatively cheap. For your chest armor, spend your cash on this one first. You need to have the required amount of health and energy shield. Otherwise, you're going to feel incredibly squishy. It's a really important gear piece, so spend your money on this one first. Now, once you have all the pieces like Atziri's Acuity, your Sanguimancer's mark, your Brotherhood ring, your Spirit amulet, your wand, and your focus with level of all spells, you can get this one also relatively cheap, because cold damage is not used much. Since we are converting everything to cold damage, it's really nice to have. However, for the flame wall or the fire portion of our comet, cold damage is not really good. So you want elemental damage or spell damage, which is better. But for now, this focus is really, really good. Now for your belt as well as your boots, you want to fix your resistances and your health. You only have very few options in terms of defenses here, because most of it is used for offense. So you need to invest in the defensive options here much more money to get your character to a level that it's not dying constantly. Now, if you want to upgrade your DPS, I highly recommend going for a Seed of Cataclysm. Those are relatively cheap. You can even get one with Corruption to Strength, which is a little bit of health. But the crit chance and crit damage here can go with a Corruption above the 50%, especially if you apply the caster modifier Catalyst. So it's 60% crit damage instead of 50%. So a really, really good ring. Once you have the required cash, I am now dealing enough damage so I feel comfortable with my character. So next I'm going to upgrade my robe to around 1000 energy shield and with better resistances. So I am actually capped with the 1% overstand on cold. And then I'm going to invest into a better wand and a better focus. Those will carry me a long way. And once you have everything in order, you can invest into 20 divine boots with 50% movement speed with all those extra. Now, this sums up the video. I hope you liked it. If you do, please comment, please leave a like, and see you next time. Subscribe. Bye.